done a few videos already on the best types of electric bikes for various riders and different styles of bikes, but there's a type of bike that I see more and more around New York City that made me realize there's another type of user for electric bikes that we maybe should do a video on. The type that wants an electric, easier to move when you want it bike, but also might want to carry some things with them. So after doing a ton of research and trying out bikes, I think I have a list of 3 of the best electric cargo bikes in various styles. All of these bikes fall within the electric bike rules here in the US and even the EU. Now speaking of those rules, I have a full video on all the details of the laws and what you need to know before you buy an e-bike that I'll link below. But for this video, just know that most states here in the US have a 3-class system like what we have here in New York City. And the most common e-bikes are Class 1 and Class 2, with the major difference being Class 1 is pedal assist only, and Class 2 has pedal assist, but also a throttle that you can use without pedaling. Both of these classes, though, must have pedals on them. They must be limited to 20 miles per hour when using the electric motor. They do not require helmets here in New York City at least, but of course, they're recommended. You don't need a driver's license, and they can be ridden anywhere that bicycles are normally ridden. Okay, let's go check out our first bike. First up, this is the Velotric Packer 1, which I'd say is probably the one that works for the most scenarios and is less expensive than most cargo bikes. Velotric was originally founded by some of Lime's original hardware team, you know, the super popular e-scooter and e-bike company, and they've launched a ton of bikes in the last year or two, as the company is growing pretty quickly, it would seem. And the Packer 1 is one of 2 of their new cargo bikes. This style of cargo bike is also one of the most common you'll probably see on the road, with a long rear rack, sometimes called a long tail cargo bike. It comes in 2 colors, indigo gray, and the color I prefer, since I like all of my tech to be brighter colored, sky blue. It's a step-through style as well, which just means it doesn't have a crossbar, so it's a lot easier to get on and off of for any rider. And it's rated for anyone 5'3" to 6'6". Now, unlike a lot of bikes in this price range, it actually comes with front and rear fenders, puncture-resistant tires, hydraulic suspension on the front fork with up to 80 millimeters of travel, good for riding with it fully loaded for sure, a cushioned seat, a bell, which is honestly very handy, and integrated front and rear lights. You'd be surprised at how many bikes that are more expensive than this don't come with half of that stuff. They're optional extras. Now for the cargo part of the bike, the payload can be up to 440 pounds. That includes the rider, by the way. It has a 750 watt motor with a peak power of 1200 watts and 75 Newton meters of torque, which is also handy when fully loaded. For range, it's rated to 52 miles on pedal assist's lowest setting and 45 miles with throttle only, which this bike has and is a lot of fun. Beyond that, there are a ton of accessories you can add to customize how you want to use the bike and even what your cargo might be. There's a front rack for extra room to carry things, a rear basket to make the back rack better for packages, for example, a seat pad for back there, as well as footrests if you just want the cargo to be another person, and a child safety bar and child seat for back there as well. Now, the bike itself does weigh 75 pounds, but for a cargo bike, that's actually on the lighter side. Plus, it has a removable battery, thankfully, so you can easily lock it up somewhere and just bring the battery in to charge that separately. That battery is an LG manufactured 48 volt, 14.4 amp hour UL 2271 certified battery, and the bike itself is UL 2849 certified, by the way. Both of those are third-party tested certifications for safety. And it can be charged fully in about 6 hours. Lastly, we have Apple Find My built in, so you can use any iOS device to track the bike on a map, as well as even share the bike's location with friends and family if you say go out for a ride and want someone to be aware of where you are. All in all, it's a solid cargo bike with decent range, power, and payload for a reasonable price. I'll leave a link below to the best deal that I can find in the Velotric Packer 1, as well as all the bikes in this video, and try to keep those updated as best I can, as per the usual. Okay, the next bike I would recommend if you need to carry things, but you don't have a lot of room to store said bike. This is the Radio Flyer folding cargo bike. Now, Radio Flyer might sound familiar to some of you, as it is the same Radio Flyer who became popular in the 1920s for their stamped steel red wagons called the Radio Flyer. And the company's actually named for 2 famous men of the day, Marconi, who demonstrated the first ever long-distance wireless telegraph, and Lindbergh, who completed the first solo non-stop flight across the Atlantic. Radio Flyer. The company has since created a ton of new wheeled tricycles, wagons, and even electric miniature cars. So it seems to make sense that they began expanding into electric bikes not too long ago. This bike also thankfully comes with fenders and lights, has an integrated bell, and unfolds using two solid feeling latches. Now, because it is a smaller cargo bike, it doesn't have as high of a cargo payload, and because it has a smaller battery and motor, the range and torque aren't going to be as high. But it can still carry 80 pounds of cargo on the rear rack, and has between 20 to 40 miles of range, throttle only, which this has as well again, which is fun, versus the lowest pedal assist setting. And it does that using a 350 watt motor. But the bike is 53 pounds and again folds down much smaller for storage or to put in the back of a car or on a train. The battery is a Samsung 48 volt 9.8 amp hour UL 2271 certified battery and can be fully recharged in about 7 hours. That battery is removable, so again, you can leave the bike somewhere or even in the trunk of a car and bring the battery in separately to charge that, as well as, of course, buy additional batteries should you need the extra range. Radio Flyer also has a number of accessories you can add to the bike to customize it, including a Thule child seat, a kid carrier with backrest and handlebars, various different rear storage baskets, front rack, frame bags, and even a trailer. It's a great bike if you need to carry cargo, but also need to be able to store the bike or transport it with you sometimes, and the price is very reasonable as well. Again though, I'll leave links to the best price that I can find on this bike and the others in the description below. Okay. So what if you have multiple tiny humans that you want to use as cargo? Or maybe you just have a lot of cargo. This next bike's design is usually called a long john, a box bike, or a front loader, and you can probably get why. This is the Urban Arrow family, and as the name would suggest, its main focus is on carrying the kids. In the front loader, we have 2 seat belts and a ton of space. The max payload, including the rider, is about 550 pounds, so kids or packages are no problem. And we have a choice of configurations with different motors, from a 50 Newton meter or so rated Bosch motor to a 65 Newton meter setup, and an 85 Newton meter option for carrying a lot of cargo. The battery is rated for an average range of 50 kilometers or 31 miles, and is thankfully removable for you to charge it away from the bike. Sort of necessary with the size of this bike, really. And I will say at first, the sheer size, it's about 9 feet long and a bit over 2 feet wide, and the way the front wheel moves out of your eyesight because of the front loader felt kind of alien. But after a day of riding it, I got used to it pretty quickly. Something that helps with the ease of use once you get used to it is the internally geared hub that very smoothly changes through the gears as you ride by twisting a throttle on the handlebar. It's also a CVT or continuously variable transmission, so it's remarkably quiet, infinitely adjustable, and should be very reliable. Something I didn't expect while riding the Urban Arrow family around was the sheer number of comments of people asking me what bike that was, or just what it was in general. Its unique shape and size is definitely something at least New Yorkers are not expecting to see coming down the road, for sure. Now, like the other bikes on the list, it does come with a bunch of optional accessories to customize the bike. We have an optional GPS module you can add to track the bike, a box cover or luggage net in case you want to use it for actual cargo, an extra bench if you have more than 2 kids, rain and sun covers if you don't want said kids or cargo to get sunburnt or wet, and more. If you just need to carry multiple children or even just a ton of cargo, then this is a very solid bike for that. There are only 2 downsides. The price, which isn't cheap, although less than other bikes like this, and the sheer size, as you will need to make sure that you can fit it somewhere to store it. Again, best price that I could find on the bike, I'll leave below. And there we go, guys, the 3 best electric cargo bikes that I could find. Again, I will leave links to all of the bikes and the best deals that I could find on them. I'll even try to update that as much as I can in the description below. If you like this video, please subscribe and ding the bell so you get notified when I do new videos. Also, I have a few other videos on electric bikes. I'll leave links to those below if you want to go check those out as well. Now though, I am gonna go get another ride in on that front loader and see what else I can fit in it.
Crank it up. Go, go, go.
Hey, it works! Truck. Hydraulic. A beeping sound? It's the same truck. Just backing up. Going forward for just a little bit and then backing up for a long time.